Chapter 3656 Deserved to Die 10,000 times. Di Biming held Yun Chujia's hand without batting an eyelid. He did not want He Xinjiu to be the only one to be teleported in later. At this moment, Xue Wuji sneakily moved to Di Biming's side. He grabbed Di Biming's arm and said while licking his face, "Everything is urgent. Everything is urgent." Di Biming's expression instantly darkened. Just as he was about to throw this idiot away, a ray of light flashed past. When he opened his eyes again, he had already arrived in a stone hall. In the middle of the stone hall was a stone platform. There was a huge skeleton on it, and on the ground was a huge white tiger skin. The ferocious white tiger's shadow was looking at them with hostility. "Wow!" Xue Wuji exclaimed in surprise. "The skin of the white tiger is really good. Little sister Jiu, I think the skin of the white tiger and the nine-tailed fox is even better. You can make a cloak by then." Hearing Xue Wuji's words, He Xinjiu was stunned. Why was the head of the black chicken also teleported in? On second thought, she knew what the guy was planning. Was he afraid that the white tiger egg would be contracted by her or the pretty boy if he was not careful? The white tiger was so angry that it cried out, "Stupid humans, how dare you have designs on me? None of you can escape today. Coincidentally, that little girl with the heavenly thunder spirit root can let me possess her, and I can regain my freedom." Yun Chujiu said to Di Biming and Xue Wuji casually, "I'll leave it to you." Xue Wuji immediately pounced forward with his eyes shining. He wished that he could kill the white tiger immediately so that he could become the white tiger egg. Even if Di Biming and Xue Wuji joined hands, the two of them could not fight back in less than 15 minutes. This white tiger was obviously much more powerful than the green dragon from before. He Xinjiu released Tao Wu and Qiong Qi when she saw this and brought De Hua out as well. Tao Wu and De Hua immediately rushed towards the white tiger. Only Qiong Qi came to He Xinjia's side. With a fawning expression, she said, "Little fairy, didn't you say that you have the opportunity to use the Great Void soul-nourishing formation to nourish our souls? When can you do that? I can't wait to form a shell to work together with you. Get lost. Get as far away as possible." He Xinjiu said in a bad mood. It was better to let such a person who could not speak human language stay in the bottle. After being scolded by He Xinjiu, Qiong Qi did not get angry. Instead, he smiled even more obsequiously. "Little fairy, please scold me a little more. I feel so comfortable all over." He Xinjiu gritted her teeth in anger. "Why aren't you going up to help? Are you looking for a beating?" Hearing this, Qiong Qi immediately joined the battle. Then, he said to White Tiger, "Tisk tsk, I say, you are really unlucky to have met He Xinhuang's little fairy. Don't you know that she is the worst person in the world? I advise you to struggle. Let the three of us tear you apart and eat you." The white tiger was so angry that it was twitching. If it knew that this wretched girl had the remnant souls of Qiong Qi and Tao Wu, it would not take the initiative to provoke her. It was all that damn Wan Chen's fault. No wonder that wretched girl said that he deserved to die. Indeed, he deserved to die. He deserved to die 10,000 times. Naturally, the white tiger would not really give up on resisting. If it did not fight with all its might, it would lose its life. Unfortunately, even though it struggled with all its might, it could not escape the fate of being eaten in the end. Qiong Qi burped as he ate. He felt that the little girl who followed the black-hearted girl back then was absolutely right. If he did not follow her, how could he have the fortune to eat the remnant souls of the divine beasts? Chapter 3657, The Miserable Xue Wuji. If there was anyone who was the most nervous in this stone hall, it would be Xue Wuji. This fellow had long heard He Xinjiu describe the process of the golden dragon turning into an egg, so he stared at the skeleton and fur on the stone platform. He had already thought it through. Once the white tiger egg appeared, he would rush up and put it into the spirit beast bag to prevent any accidents from happening again. As he expected, the skeleton and fur on the stone platform were burning, and a white tiger egg appeared in the end. Shui Wuji jumped to the front of the white tiger egg and tried to put the egg into the spiritual beast pouch. To his surprise, he did not succeed. Shui Wuji was confused. Why didn't it work? He Xinjiu was confused, too. Therefore, she released Meng Yanshou. Meng Yanshou grinned and said, "The four godly beasts are different from other spiritual beasts. They can only be kept in the spiritual beast pouch after the contract is signed." Hearing that, Shui Wuji immediately bit his finger and made a cut. He dripped the blood on the white tiger egg, and then nothing happened. The white tiger egg did not respond at all. Shui Wuji tried more than 100 times, and he almost passed out due to excessive blood loss. However, he failed to sign the contract with the white tiger egg. Shui Wuji immediately felt terrible. Was he being despised? Why was the little perverted dragon with a paralyzed face crying and begging for a contract when he had almost bled out? He Xinjiu looked at Shui Wuji, who had nothing to live for. She said dryly, "Brother Wuji, maybe the spiritual sense of the white tiger egg is too weak right now, so there's no way to form a contract with it. I'll try again in a few days. It doesn't matter if I can't put it into the spiritual beast bag. Why don't you just put a bag on your back?" Hearing He Xinjiu's words, Shui Wuji felt a little comforted. He took out a piece of cloth from his storage ring, wrapped the white tiger egg tightly, and carried it on his back. After comforting Shui Wuji, He Xinjiu began to pull out the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. They were good stuff and could not be wasted. The guy finally put the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains into his storage ring. Then, he suddenly thought of a question. If the spiritual sense of the white tiger egg was still weak, how would they get out? Would they be crushed to death inside? The stone hall was shaking more and more violently. Shui Wuji held the white tiger egg in his hand. He said in a flattering manner, "Little white tiger, cute little white tiger, mighty little white tiger, let us out quickly, or we will be buried here." Unfortunately, the white tiger egg did not respond at all, as if it was a dead egg. Fuck. He Xinjiu took out a large kitchen knife and waved it over the egg. "If you play dead again, do you believe that I will turn you into egg soup and eat you?" It was not known whether He Xinjiu's threat had worked or not, but when the lights flashed and everyone regained their sight, they were already outside. Shui Wuji was afraid that the news of the white tiger egg would be exposed. Just as he was about to wrap the white tiger egg with the wrapper, he realized that the white tiger egg in his hand had disappeared without a trace. Shui Wuji was stunned at first, then he was filled with sorrow. Little sister Jiu could contract a divine beast or something for no reason, so why was it so difficult for him? Not only was there a huge basin of blood, but the damn white tiger egg was still missing. Where did it go? However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he could not say much. He only looked at He Xinjiu with resentment. He Xinjiu also noticed that the white tiger egg in Shui Wuji's hand was missing. She was also very puzzled. Could it be that the white tiger egg ran away in a panic? Chapter 3658, Where's the White Tiger Egg? He Xinjiu looked around suspiciously, only to find a flash of white light in the collapsing altar not far away. She squinted her eyes. Was this little thing trying to take advantage of the chaos to escape? Dream on. He Xinjiu dashed over with a whoosh and hugged the white tiger egg in her arms. She was afraid that the white tiger egg would escape again, so she subconsciously put the white tiger egg into the spirit beast bag. This guy also put the white tiger egg in, but he only realized it after a while. Didn't they say that only when it recognized its owner could it be put in? How did she put it in? Although He Xinjiu's actions were very fast, Shui Wuji still saw the whole process. He immediately felt that God was full of malice. Why? 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 He bled for half a basin of blood, but he still didn't succeed. Why did little sister Jiu succeed so easily? Moreover, she had not even dripped blood to establish the contract. Shui Wuji wished that he could get to the bottom of it right away. However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he had no choice but to hold it in. He Xingjiu originally wanted to take out the white tiger egg and hand it over to Shui Wuji. However, when she saw Emperor Shiwen and the others, she decided to wait until they had left the capital of the West Tiger Kingdom. Therefore, the fellow said to Emperor Shiwen, White Tiger felt that it had been deceived by Wan Chen. It felt very guilty and uneasy. Therefore, it decided to hibernate in the underground palace and will not appear for the time being. Send someone to guard this place. No one is allowed to disturb the peace of White Tiger. Emperor Shiwen did not see He Xingjia's movements clearly just now. He only saw a flash of white light. Although he was a little suspicious, he did not dare to ask further and nodded respectfully in agreement. As for the onlookers outside the divine hall, they saw that Wan Chen was already dead and the altar had collapsed. They immediately lost their backbone and were afraid that He Xingjiu would settle the score in the future. One by one, they scattered like birds and beasts. Naturally, He Xingjiu did not take these people to heart. She led them out of the capital city of the West Tiger Kingdom and flew directly to the capital city of the North Mystic Kingdom on a flying spiritual device. As soon as they got on the flying spiritual device, Shui Wuji could not wait to approach He Xingjiu and say, Little sister Jiu, quick, take out the white tiger egg. It can't be that it recognizes you as its master, right? He Xingjiu was also very curious. She immediately tried to take out the white tiger egg with her spiritual sense, but there was nothing. The guy was dazed for a moment and quickly scanned his spiritual beast bag with his spiritual sense. He almost fainted from anger when he saw it. There were no more white tiger eggs in the spiritual beast bag. Xiao Hanyo and the others were fighting over a few broken egg shells. Meng Yanshou was shamelessly holding an egg shell and licking the remaining egg liquid on it. He Xingjiu immediately roared with her spiritual sense, All of you, stop right now. Let me ask you, where is the little white tiger? Upon hearing He Xingjia's words, the dumb cubs immediately drooped their heads and kept silent. He Xingjiu was so angry that she directly called out, Curly hair, tell me. Where did the little white tiger go? The nightmare beast acted as if it was trying to steal a bell by covering its ears. It carried the eggshell in its hand behind its back. The red rabbit blinked its eyes and stammered, No, I don't know. Meng Yanshou. He Xingjiu was so angry that she directly took the nightmare beast out of the spiritual beast bag and kicked it hard. If you don't tell me the truth, I'll turn you into a eunuch rabbit today. Meng Yanshou. The nightmare beast could not help but shudder. It said with a hint of guilt and flattery, Little fairy, this, it's not my fault. Everyone has a share, especially that kitten. It eats the most. He Xingjiu had a bad premonition just now. Hearing Meng Yanshou's words, she felt her head buzz. You mean to say that the white tiger egg was eaten by you? Meng Yanshou took a few steps back and said embarrassedly, Yes, it was. But, it was not all eaten. There were still a few eggshells left. Chapter 3659 was the main culprit. He Xingjiu was so angry that she was about to kill the nightmare beast with her kitchen knife. Meng Yanshou cried and begged for mercy, Little fairy, you can't be so biased. I'm not the only one who ate the white tiger egg. Those guys all had a share. And the first bite was eaten by that cat cub. It's the main culprit, and we're all accomplices. He Xingjiu tried hard to suppress the anger in her heart and gritted her teeth. Let's put aside the matter of who ate the egg first. Let me ask you, didn't you say that the white tiger's egg can only be stored in the spirit beast bag after it recognizes its master? How did I put it in? Meng Yanshou looked innocent and at a loss. Little fairy, I don't know either. Normally, the eggs of the 4 great divine beasts can only be stored after it recognizes its master. Maybe it's because you're as beautiful as a flower and can topple countries and cities. Seeing that Meng Yanshou didn't look like he was lying, He Xingjiu could only glare at him and ask, Didn't you say that the godly beasts won't really die out? Now that the white tiger egg has been eaten by you, shouldn't a new white tiger egg be born? Meng Yanshou nodded vigorously. Yes, yes, that's right. There will definitely be a new white tiger egg born. He Xinjiu could not help but feel relieved. As long as a new white tiger egg was born, it would be fine. If the white tiger egg was eaten by them, so be it. Di Biming frowned. He asked, previously, the white tiger burned its skeleton and fur to give birth to a new white tiger egg. Now that the white tiger egg has been eaten by you, and it has no skeleton and fur, how can it give birth to a new white tiger egg? Meng Yanshou was immediately dumbfounded by the question. His eyes flickered and he said dryly, as long as the remnant soul of the white tiger is still there, it can be reborn. This eggshell should also be used as a tool for rebirth, right? Yes, it should be like this. He Xinjiu frowned. A few pieces of eggshell fragments were enough. Although she did not quite believe it, she still prepared a spirit beast bag and put in the eggshell fragments that she had snatched from Xiao Hanio and the rest to prevent them from eating them again. The nightmare beast was afraid that He Xinjiu would seek revenge on it again, so it quickly diverted He Xinjiu's anger. Little fairy, heaven and earth have a conscience. When you put the white tiger egg into the spirit beast pouch, even though we were a little greedy, we didn't have the guts to eat it. Just like that phoenix egg. It had been there for so long, but we didn't move, did we? It was mainly the kittens that came forward and broke the white tiger egg with their claws. With them taking the lead, we ate a little bit of it. Therefore, the kittens were the main culprit. Upon hearing the words of the Meng Yanshou, He Xinjiu first transferred the phoenix egg to a separate spirit beast bag and then took out the kittens. Well done, kittens. You haven't grown much, but you're getting bolder and bolder. Tell me, who gave you the guts to eat the white tiger's egg? Kitten's eyes flickered and drifted. It didn't even dare to look at He Xinjiu. It stammered, I was muddle-headed. I won't do it again. He Xinjiu frowned. Kitten had always been reckless. How could it admit that it was wrong this time? Kitten saw that He Xinjiu didn't speak, and its body trembled slightly. It unconsciously took a few steps back. Meng Yanshou, who was watching from the side, covered its mouth and gloated. This damned kitten, it was the one who ate the most, it deserved to be scolded. It would be better if the little girl from He Xinjiu gave it a beating. Chapter 3660, Go Get the Bastard. Meng Yanshou was gloating over Meng Yanshou's misfortune when he saw the kitten glaring at him fiercely, as if it wanted to eat him. Meng Yanshou was stunned. Although this kitten had the bloodline of a Pai Xiu, it never dared to explode in front of Meng Yanshou. Why did it dare to glare at Meng Yanshou today? Could it be that Meng Yanshou thought that after eating the white tiger's egg, Meng Yanshou would be able to stand up to Meng Yanshou? Meng Yanshou was about to glare back at Meng Yanshou when he saw that the cat cub had returned to its usual obedient appearance. It was as if Meng Yanshou had mistaken Meng Yanshou's fierce gaze earlier. Meng Yanshou shook the rabbit's head. Could it be that Meng Yanshou's little girl had beaten Meng Yanshou so badly that Meng Yanshou was hallucinating? He Xinjiu scolded the cat cub fiercely and took out a spirit beast bag. She grounded the cat cub and made it starve for 10 days as punishment. The kitten did not say anything but nodded obediently. He Xinjiu looked at Meng Yanshou, who was gloating, and said, You guys have been starving for 3 days, too. If you do it again, humph. Meng Yanshou immediately expressed its gratitude and repentance, saying that it would definitely turn over a new leaf and become a beast cloud again. He Xinjiu could not be bothered with it and put it into the spiritual beast bag. He Xinjiu then looked at Xue Wuji with a dry smile. Brother Wuji, you heard it too. The white tiger egg might still be reborn, so we can only wait. If you think that waiting is too long, aren't we going to the North Xian Kingdom? I'll just give that bastard to you. Xue Wuji, bastard. Why did it sound so awkward? Could it not be said that it was a black tortoise egg? Xue Wuji naturally wanted the little white tiger in his heart, because no matter who he chose, he would definitely choose the majestic little white tiger over a little bastard. However, there was no other choice now. The white tiger egg only had a few pieces of eggshell left. Who knew how long it would take before it could be reborn into a white tiger? If it was a bastard, then it was a bastard. Therefore, Shui Wuji sighed and said, maybe the white tiger and I are not fated. The black turtle egg will be the black turtle egg. Although the name is not nice, it is still a godly beast no matter what. Hei Xinjiu felt that she had let Shui Wuji down. She quickly agreed, yes. In fact, the bastard is quite good. That thing can at least resist hunger. Also, it is a 1,000-year-old tortoise. How good is the meaning of this thing? The corner of Shui Wuji's mouth twitched as he consoled himself. This was a gift from little sister Jiu. It was a token of her goodwill. People had to learn to be content. Thus, he said with a smile, little sister Jiu, you're right. Bastard is also quite good. Let's speed up and quickly go get that bastard. Hei Xinjiu added a few more sentences and then talked about other matters. This matter had temporarily come to an end. Hei Xinjiu thought of the giant winged birds that she had seen when she swept her gaze across the spirit beast pouch. She calculated in her heart that once the matter with the North Xian kingdom was settled, if there was no movement from the Lihen palace, she would go to the boundless ice abyss on the immortal Yuan continent to restore the souls of Cheong Qi and Tao Wu. On the way, she would help these giant winged birds find a new nesting spot. Hei Xinjiu thought to herself, with this calculation, she still had many things to do. She had to hurry up. The journey was very smooth. 2 days later, the flying spiritual device arrived at the capital of Bei Xian Kingdom. Outside the capital of Bei Xian Kingdom, there were still angry people shouting at the Empress Jiu to get out of Bei Xian Kingdom. Hei Xinjiu did the same thing and sat on the little Wu Yun. She easily appeased the onlookers and then went to the divine hall of Bei Xian Kingdom with Emperor Beijing. Chapter 3661 Turtle Shell. Hei Xinjia's current mood could be described as nonchalant, because she felt that there was basically no challenge left. It was just a formality to get the black tortoise egg. What she thought was that everyone was blocked out of the temple. The entire temple was covered by a huge turtle shell. Bei Xian Kingdom State Preceptor Fan Ji once again incited the people of Bei Xian Kingdom. Lord Black Tortoise orders you to take down the female emperor of Fenghua immediately, or else the calamity will fall on Bei Xian Kingdom. The people saw the huge turtle shell and naturally believed Fan Ji's words even more. They started to clash with the soldiers who were blocking them, and the scene was very chaotic for a moment. Emperor Beijing looked at Empress Jiu with a worried expression. Your Majesty Fenghua, look, what should we do? We have never seen this turtle shell before. How could such a huge turtle shell suddenly appear out of nowhere? Hei Xinjia's eyes lit up when she saw the big turtle shell. The little bastard's turtle shell had already cracked, so she could use this big bastard's turtle shell to replace it. It looked very sturdy. Hei Xinjiu rolled her eyes and shouted into the turtle shell, Master Black Tortoise, if you don't let us in, don't blame me for being rude. I'm going to destroy your big bastard's turtle shell. Fan Ji's arrogant voice came from inside. Female Emperor of Zephyr, I advise you to either surrender or leave as soon as possible. Don't even think about opening this turtle shell. This is Black Tortoise's shell, you can't open it. Hei Xinjiu pursed her lips and slashed at the turtle shell with the kitchen knife. There was no reaction from the first cut. There was still no reaction at the second strike. At the third strike, a tiny crack finally appeared on the turtle shell. Hei Xinjiu was delighted. She burned the small flame and slashed with the large kitchen knife. Finally, a big crack appeared on the large turtle shell. This fellow was feeling proud. No matter how hard your big bastard's shell was, how could it be as hard as the 10,000-year-old black iron chain? A crack would appear sooner or later. Fan Ji, who was in the courtyard, found that there was a crack in the turtle shell. His face was ashen. How was this possible? This was the turtle shell of the black tortoise. Just as he was thinking, the turtle shell suddenly shrank and turned into a small piece of turtle shell, falling to the ground. Before he could pick up the turtle shell fragment, Hei Shinjo and the others rushed in. Hei Shinjo looked at the small turtle shell fragment on the ground and was suddenly enlightened. No wonder it could not be stopped. It was just a small piece. Fan Ji was about to pick up the turtle shell fragment when a red shadow rushed over. Without any explanation, it was a spiritual attack. Hei Shinjo saw that Xue Wuji had entangled Fan Ji, so she held the small turtle shell in her hand and examined it. She didn't see anything special about it. It was probably just a part of the black tortoise shell. When Hei Shinjo was studying the turtle shell in her hand, a light flashed and Hei Shinjo disappeared on the spot. Di Baiming gritted his teeth in frustration. He never thought that the turtle shell had the ability to teleport. If he had known earlier, he would have held little Zhou's hand. Di Baiming looked at Fan Ji coldly and joined the battle. In less than 15 minutes, Fan Ji's spiritual power was restrained by Di Baiming. Under interrogation, Fan Ji told him what he knew. It turned out that the turtle shell fragment was lent to Fan Ji by the black tortoise to protect the divine hall. As for the turtle shell's ability to teleport, he didn't know. Chapter 3662 Sinking Fish Pulp. Xue Wuji asked fiercely, even if you don't know the transfer function of the turtle shell, you should be able to get in contact with the black tortoise, right? Tell it to release little sister Zhou quickly, or else it'll kill you. Usually, the black tortoise only contacts me when it has orders. I have no way to contact it. Xue Wuji naturally did not believe what he said and directly asked Di Baiming to search his soul. Unfortunately, Di Baiming's soul search did not yield any results, and Fan Ji soon bled to death from all 7 orifices. Xue Wuji held his breath and kicked Fan Ji a few times. He was not concerned about the black tortoise egg, but was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would be in danger again. This black tortoise was obviously more cunning than the golden dragon and white tiger. He wondered where little sister Zhou had been taken to. He could only comfort himself. Little sister Zhou had a way of dealing with remnant souls. This time, there should be no problem. Di Baiming's expression was also very gloomy. He felt a little flustered for some reason. He had a feeling that something would happen. However, there was nothing he could do now. The altar was only one end of the teleportation array. No one knew the location of the stone hall. He could only wait. Hei Shinjo, who was missed by Di Baiming and Xue Wuji, was trapped in a pond. A giant phantom of a turtle was floating above the pond. It was watching Hei Shinjo flapping in the water with a smug look on its face. Little girl, don't waste your energy. The pond is filled with fish pulp. Even aquatic demon beasts will sink to the bottom, not to mention you. Once you die, I can successfully possess you. At that time, I can regain my freedom. Hei Shinjo did not take it seriously when she found out that she had fallen into the pool. After all, she had a water-repellent bead on her. How could a broken pool drown her? However, she realized that the big bastard was right. Even if she had a water-repellent bead and even if she could swim, she would still inevitably sink, as if there was a huge force pulling her down. If her spiritual power was not confined, she could quickly pile stones and other things into the pool. That way, she could have a foothold and at least not drown. Unfortunately, now that her spiritual power was confined, even if the kitchen knife was at her waist, it was useless. If she did not think of a way quickly, she would drown. Hei Shinjo could not help but smile bitterly in her heart. Even in her dreams, she did not expect that she would drown in the end. It had to be said that this black tortoise was much more cunning than the other 3. It knew how to use a small piece of turtle shell as bait and then lure her in. At this moment, the sinking fish paste in the pool was almost at Hei Xinjia's neck, and she was still sinking. Black Tortoise saw Hei Shinjo struggling helplessly in the water and was very excited. After being trapped for so many years, it finally had a chance to leave this place. No matter what, it would not let go of such a good opportunity. This pond filled with fish sinking pulp was originally set up to trap it. It did not expect that it would be of great help to it now. Just as Black Tortoise was feeling pleased with himself, he saw the little girl in the pond open her mouth and lower her head to drink the fish-sinking pulp in the pond. Black Tortoise was stunned at first, then, he laughed until he trembled. "Little girl, don't tell me you still want to drink all the fish-sinking pulp in this pond? Not to mention that the fish-sinking pulp itself is poisonous. Even if you are immune to all poisons, how can your small body hold so much fish-sinking pulp?" Back then, the Black Tortoise also took the risk of being poisoned to death, wanting to drink up all the fish-sinking pulp in its stomach. Unfortunately, this pool did not look big, but it was endless. Back then, it tried its best, but it was unable to drink up all the fish-sinking pulp. Instead, it was poisoned to death. Chapter 3663, Rehydration. Naturally, Hei Shinjo did not have the time to deal with the Black Tortoise. She had no other way to save herself other than to drink up the fish-sinking pulp. Anyway, she had done this kind of thing under the pressure of Guai Chao, so it should work, right? Although the fish-sinking pulp was also poisonous, Guai Chao obviously did not like the fish-sinking pulp very much. Under Hei Xinjia's threat, she could only cooperate with Hei Shinjo to rehydrate. Black Tortoise originally thought that the little girl in the pool would sink to the bottom very soon. Who would have thought that after 15 minutes, the little girl was still drinking water, and the water level in the pool had obviously started to drop. This was really a ghost. Although Black Tortoise was very surprised, but thinking back, it had not been able to drink all the water in the pool back then, so this little girl definitely could not do it. Taking a step back, even if she could really drink all the water in the pool, her spiritual power was already restrained by it, and she still could not escape from its palm. Therefore, the Black Tortoise calmed down and floated in the air, leisurely watching Hei Shinjo drinking the water desperately. Hei Shinjo drank for a whole day and night, and finally drank all the water in the pool. Besides Hei Shinjo, there was also a huge turtle skeleton and a huge turtle shell in the pond. Moreover, the turtle shell and the skeleton were fixed at the bottom of the pond by 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. Hei Shinjo looked around again. There were stone walls all around her, and there were also stone walls above her head. It was similar to the stone halls of the Golden Dragon and the others. Seeing that Hei Shinjo had really finished all the water, Black Tortoise felt a little apprehensive and asked tentatively, "Little girl, where did you take the sinking fish pulp?" Hei Shinjo replied indifferently, "You've confined my spiritual power, so where can I put the sinking fish paste? I naturally drank it all." Black Tortoise snorted coldly, "With your small body? How could you put so much sinking fish paste? If you tell me the truth, I'll let you live. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Hei Shinjo pursed her lips in her heart. Did he think she was an idiot? Even if she used her heel to think, she knew that this guy was trying to possess her. It was impossible for him to let her go. However, now that her spiritual power was confined, she could not release De Hua and Cheong Chi. The only thing she could rely on was the large kitchen knife at her waist. Therefore, she had to hit it with one strike and not be anxious. When Hei Shinjo thought of this, her eyes revealed great surprise. "Is what you said true? Will you really let me go?" Black Tortoise despised her in its heart. What a stupid human. It was still waiting to possess her. How could it let her go? However, it was not bad to coax her to tell the truth first so that it would not know nothing after the possession. Therefore, Black Tortoise nodded and said gently, "That's right. As long as you answer my question truthfully, I will let you go." Hei Shinjo immediately beamed and nodded repeatedly, all right. What do you want to know?" "I'll tell you everything." "You tell me first. Where did you take the sinking fish paste?" Black Tortoise asked curiously. Hei Shinjo blushed and said embarrassedly, "I drank it. You may not know this, but I've always had a big appetite and I eat everything. When I'm really hungry, I even eat dirt." Black Tortoise stared at Hei Shinjo suspiciously. Did she really drink it into her stomach? How was this possible? However, she didn't look like she was lying at all. Moreover, This little girl was easy to deceive, so she shouldn't be lying to it. Chapter 3664, You Bad Bastard. Black Tortoise stared at Hei Xingjiu for a while and finally believed her words. He continued to ask, Do you have any other secrets? You have to tell me everything, or I won't let you go. Fear appeared on Hei Xingjiu's face. She trembled slightly and said, I don't have any big secrets. I'm just not afraid of poison. No poison can kill me. Hearing that, Black Tortoise nodded. It believed her. Otherwise, she would have been poisoned to death after drinking so much heavy fish milk. Black Tortoise asked a few more questions, and Hei Xingjiu answered them, truthfully, obediently. Seeing that the questions were almost over, Black Tortoise finally revealed his viciousness and said ruthlessly, Little girl, you are too naive. It was not easy for me to get you in here. Why would I let you go? However, don't worry. I will leave you with a whole corpse. After all, your shell is still useful. Hei Xingjiu immediately shivered and said with a red face, How can you lie to me? You are a bad person. No, you are a bad bastard. Black Tortoise's biggest taboo was that others would call it a bastard. How could it, a magnificent black tortoise, be compared to a lowly demonic beast like a bastard? Black Tortoise pounced on Hei Xingjiu in anger, wanting to seize her body after slapping her to death. Hei Xingjiu seemed to be scared silly. She did not dodge, but just stared blankly at the black tortoise that was approaching her. Black Tortoise could not help but curl his lips. This little girl was really timid. It was a waste for such a trash to live. It was just right for her to die. Just as Black Tortoise's claws were about to hit Hei Xingjiu used all her strength and suddenly jumped. The large kitchen knife in her hand slashed towards Black Tortoise's remnant soul. The Black Tortoise let out a blood-curdling scream, and the remnant soul's color dimmed a little. It hurriedly floated backwards and looked at the large kitchen knife in Hei Xingjiu's hand in disbelief. This is the Heaven Punisher divine axe? How did it become like this? Only then did the Black Tortoise realize that there were traces of damage on the small piece of turtle shell. It must have been cut by this wretched girl with the Heaven Punisher divine axe. It did see something on Hei Xingjiu's waist, but it did not expect that this broken kitchen knife was actually the Heaven Punisher axe. Hei Xingjiu saw that although the Black Tortoise was slightly injured, it was not seriously injured. She could not help but feel her heart sink. It was too difficult to succeed again if she missed the first strike. What should she do? Seeing that Hei Xingjiu did not say anything, the Black Tortoise could not help but sneer, Smelly girl, although I was careless and was cut by you, you don't have any spiritual power at all now. Moreover, this Heaven Punisher axe has obviously not recovered to its proper strength. Do you think you can kill me with it? I advise you to let me possess you obediently. This way, you will suffer less. Hei Xingjiu did not reply. She jumped up again and slashed at Black Tortoise. At this moment, Black Tortoise felt extremely fortunate. His skills were not bad. Even without spiritual power, he was still very agile. Black Tortoise did not expect Hei Xingjiu to be able to jump so high without spiritual power. He was almost slashed by her again. The Black Tortoise could not help but become angry out of humiliation. It started to form seals and used its spiritual power to attack Hei Xingjiu. This way, it could ensure that it would not be hit by Hei Xingjiu's kitchen knife. Hei Xingjiu dodged the Black Tortoise's spiritual power attack in a sorry state. She could not help but complain in her heart. Even though she was agile, without her spiritual power, she would not be able to dodge even 3 moves. What should she do? Sure enough, when Hei Xingjiu dodged the 3rd move, she was slightly slower. Her left shoulder was swept by the spiritual power, and her clothes were instantly dyed red with blood. Black Tortoise could not help but sneer. This stinky girl was dead for sure. Chapter 3665, Sword Intent of Chaos. Yun Chujiu grimaced in pain. Before she could check on her injuries, the Black Tortoise's spiritual power attack had arrived. Yun Chujo quickly rolled on the ground and managed to dodge the black tortoise's spiritual power attack. However, her back bumped into the turtle shell that was fixed by the 10,000-year-old black iron chain. Hei Xinjia's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately crawled into the turtle shell. The black tortoise was stunned at first, then it was so angry that it gritted its teeth. The turtle shell was fixed by the 10,000-year-old black iron chain, and it could not move at all. The turtle shell that it used to teleport Yun Chujo over was the turtle shell that it had peeled off in the past. Its firmness could not be compared at all. Seeing that the black tortoise did not move for a while, Hei Xinjiu knew that it should not be able to attack her, and she immediately knew it. Bastard, do you know what my move is called? It's called using one's own spear to attack one's own shield. Ha ha ha, I'm going to piss you off. Black tortoise was so angry that it was shivering. It rolled its eyes and the shadow started to shrink before it crawled into the crack of the turtle shell. Hei Xinjiu was still feeling proud when she suddenly realized that the black tortoise had also crawled into the turtle shell. She was so scared that she jumped out immediately. The space inside the turtle shell was narrow, so it was better to dodge from the outside. The black tortoise's figure grew bigger again and said viciously, "Darn girl, what other tricks do you have this time? Even if you have wings today, you can forget about leaving this place." Hei Xinjiu was really at her wit's end this time. Other than the large kitchen knife in her hand, she had nothing else to rely on. Just relying on the large kitchen knife alone would not be able to block the black tortoise's attack. Just as she was thinking about it, a spiritual power attack shot towards her. Almost subconsciously, Hei Xinjiu used the chicken slaughtering sword technique and used the large kitchen knife to block the spiritual power attack. Hei Xinjiu felt her wrist go numb and the large kitchen knife almost fell out of her hand. However, what made her happy was that the large kitchen knife actually blocked the spiritual power attack just now. Hei Xinjia's heart moved. Back then, after she learned the chicken slaughtering sword technique, she comprehended the sword intent of chaos. However, she didn't use it much after that. She didn't know if she could release the sword intent when there was no spiritual power. Hei Xinjiu had no other choice now. She could only try her best. She waved the large kitchen knife in her hand non-stop and started to use the chicken-killing sword technique. Black Tortoise saw the little girl waving the kitchen knife randomly as if she was having a stroke. He thought to himself, did this stupid girl go crazy from fear? Forget it, who cares if she was crazy or not? I'll kill her first. Black Tortoise thought of this and another spiritual power attack shot towards Hei Xinjiu. It thought that this spiritual power attack would definitely kill Hei Xinjiu on the spot. It did not expect that when the spiritual power attack was about 3 feet away from Hei Xinjiu, it was blocked. Black Tortoise turned pale with fright. Looking closely, it saw that the little girl's body had actually formed a corporeal, sword intent. As a divine beast, Black Tortoise was naturally knowledgeable. However, this was the first time it had seen such a sword intent. Since when could a random wave of sword intent be produced? Moreover, she didn't have any spiritual power at the moment. How could she produce sword intent? Perhaps it was because of the Heaven Punisher divine axe? As Black Tortoise thought of this, its gaze became heated as it looked at the large kitchen knife. After it possessed the Heaven Punisher divine axe, who else in the world would be able to compete with it? As for the sword intent surrounding Hei Xinjiu, the Black Tortoise did not take it seriously. Without the support of spiritual power, the sword intent did not have much power. Moreover, even if this sword intent could really block its attack, how long could that little girl last? She was exhausted to death. Chapter 3666, The Great Void Mirror was awakened. Black Tortoise tried to launch another spiritual attack at Yun Chujo, but it was blocked by the sword intent around Yun Chujo. Black Tortoise snorted and continued to attack Yun Chujo. Although the spiritual attacks were blocked by the sword intent, Yun Chujo's body was soaked in sweat. Her heart sank. If this continued, she would not be able to hold on for long. She was completely relying on her physical strength to support herself. Even if she put her life on the line, she could only hold on for another 15 minutes at most. Black Tortoise obviously also saw this point and shouted, "Stinky girl, although you have many tricks up your sleeve, you won't be able to escape at all." Hei Shinjo did not have the energy to argue with Black Tortoise at the moment. She quickly calculated in her mind, how could she solve the dilemma in front of her? There were only two ways to recover her spiritual power. One was to kill the Black Tortoise, and the other was to let the Black Tortoise take the initiative to release the spiritual power from her body. No matter which method it was, it seemed to be impossible. Was she going to die just like that? Damn it, after she died, she had to be possessed by a big bastard. It was simply suffocating. The only thing she could rely on now was the kitchen knife and the guai chow. However, this stone hall should be deep underground, so the method of summoning spiritual beasts was basically useless. Moreover, the demonic beasts were very afraid of the Black Tortoise, so how would they dare to attack the stone hall? Hei Shinjo thought about it and had a thought. The guai chow had another ability, and that was to spit out poison. Although it was similar to pulling teeth from a tiger's mouth, but now that it was in a life-and-death situation, it had no choice. "Go Wei Ba, give me a drop of Ruo Shui, I will use it to take care of the Black Tortoise," Hei Shinjo said to the guai chow with her spiritual sense. The guai chow shook its leaves, indicating that it had already eaten up all of Ruo Shui. It was gone. Yun Chujo was skeptical. She felt that guai chow was lying. "Go Wei Ba, think carefully. If I were to be possessed by that big bastard, your situation would not be any better. You are not saving me, you are saving yourself," Hei Shinjo said coldly. Guai chow shook its leaves again, indicating that it was helpless. It had no other choice. Hei Shinjo was furious. She was not raising a tenant, but a fucking ancestor. One or two of them could do nothing but eat. Guai chow could produce other poisonous liquid, but that would not have much effect on the Black Tortoise, let alone just a few drops. Just as Hei Shinjo was feeling desperate, the great void mirror that had not moved for a long time trembled. When Hei Shinjo saw that the dead thing, the great void mirror, had finally come back to life, she felt like 100 flowers had bloomed in her heart. It was too damn good a time for Xiao Jing to wake up. Hei Shinjo decided to take back what she had just said. These three things were useful once in a while. "Mao Mao Chiu, hurry up and get Xiao Jing to get me in, or I will die," Hei Shinjo said to Mao Mao Chiu. A few seconds later, Black Tortoise watched as Hei Shinjo disappeared in front of it. Black Tortoise, where was she? How did she disappear so suddenly? Black Tortoise went to where Yun Chujo was in disbelief and knocked open the stone slab below, but he did not find any trace of Hei Shinjo. At this moment, there was a huge ancient mirror in front of Hei Shinjo. There was only a gap left on it, and it should be the missing piece. Hei Shinjo only glanced at the ancient mirror before she collapsed on the ground. This time, she was really lucky. If the great void mirror had not woken up at the critical moment, she would have been finished. Chapter 3667, The Method to Unlock the Spiritual Power Confinement. Mao Qiuqiu moved to Hei Xinjia's side and tried to unlock Yun Chujia's spiritual power confinement, but she couldn't unlock it even after a long time. "Master, the spiritual power confinement on your body is the exclusive technique of the Black Tortoise. I can't unlock it," Mao Qiuqiu said dejectedly. Yun Chujia's plan was good. After Mao Qiuqiu unlocked her spiritual power confinement, she could go out and let Qiong Qi and Tao Wu take care of that big bastard outside. But now, she couldn't release it. Then could she only be trapped here? The Great Void Mirror had a drawback, which was where she went in from and where she would be after she came out. If she went out like this, she would be courting death. This guy was also big-hearted. He said to the ball of yarn, "Let's not bother about this. Ball of yarn, get me some food. I'm starving to death." Mao Qiu trembled. The master of Hei Shinjo was really big-hearted. At this time, he was still thinking about eating. Mao Qiu immediately found some fruits and brought a rabbit over. He Xinzhou simply processed the rabbit, roasted it, and ate it. Mao Qiu also happily gnawed on a rabbit leg. This fellow was full. As he gnawed on the fruit, he pondered on his next step. It was impossible to just wait. He had to release the spiritual power from his body. As he was thinking, he looked at the huge mirror in front of him. Little Jingjing, long time no see. Master, I miss you so much. He Xinzhou said flatteringly. This guy mocked himself in his heart. There was no other master like her who was so aggrieved. The great void mirror didn't have any reaction, but there was a glimmer of light in Mao Suiqia's small eyes. Jingjing, master, I am now being bullied. The big bastard outside has restrained my spiritual power. Since you are a divine weapon, you must have a way to undo the spiritual power confinement on me, right? He Xinzhou asked hopefully. Unfortunately, no matter how many good words He Xinzhou said, the great void mirror still ignored her. Mao Qiu said weakly, Master, Jing Jing said that you can only rely on yourself if you want to break the confinement. No one else can help you. It's bullshit. If I can break it, why would I need to beg it? I've never heard of anyone who can break the spiritual power confinement by themselves. It's even the black tortoise's spiritual power confinement, He Xinzhou said angrily. As soon as He Xinzhou finished her words, the great void mirror trembled slightly, and He Xinzhou fell to the ground uncontrollably. He Xinzhou was so angry. She naturally knew that this was the great void mirror's doing. She wanted to flare up, but when she thought that she was now in the great void mirror's territory, she could only hold back her anger. This guy cursed in his heart. Whether it was Go Weiba, Xiao Jingjing, or that glass ball, they all had to wait for me. Just because I can't cure you now doesn't mean that I can't do it in the future. Let's wait and see. 2 days passed in a row. Although He Xinzhou used both soft and hard tactics against the great void mirror, the answer she got from Mao Qiu was still that she had no way out. She could only rely on herself to undo the confinement. He Xinzhou sighed with a gloomy face. She had almost exhausted her brain cells in the past 2 days, and she could not think of any solutions. Mao Qiu had tried countless times, but she had failed. He Xinzhou could not think of any solutions, so she decided not to think about it anymore. She said to Mao Qiu, "Take me out for a walk. I want to go out for a walk." What He Xinzhou said about going out was not to go out, but to leave the main body of the Great Void Mirror and go to the Great Void Mystic Realm for a walk. Chapter 36-68 Thought of a good idea. Mao Qiu obediently brought Yun Chujiu away from the main body of the Great Void Mirror and into the Great Void Mystic Realm. He Xinzhou strolled around aimlessly. The scenery in the Great Void Mystic Realm was pretty good. A gentle breeze blew gently, and He Xinjia's mood was slightly better. However, very soon, her mood fell into an ice cave. That was because she and Mao Qiu had encountered a level 8 wind-blade long-tailed leopard. If He Xinzhou had spiritual power, this little thing was not worth mentioning. However, just as He Xinzhou was about to show off, she realized that she did not have spiritual power now. Strolling around in the Great Void Mystic Realm was like a walking meat bun. The first reaction of this guy was to turn around and run. Fortunately, this guy was fast enough. He risked his life and managed to pull away a small distance from the wind-blade long-tailed leopard. While running, he suddenly stopped and stared at Mao Qiu fiercely, saying, "You idiot! Aren't you a Qiling? Why are you running? Go and take care of him." Mao Qiu was dumbfounded. Yes, he was a Qiling, so why was he running? He had run away with his master subconsciously. At this time, the wind-blade long-tailed leopard had caught up with him. He Xinzhou said sinisterly, "Kitten, you are really courting death. It's a good time to stew some leopard meat today." Mao Qiu, chop it. Just when the wind-edge panther was in a daze, heavenly lightning descended from the sky and struck the wind-edge panther. The wind-edge panther turned around and fled in fear. He Xinzhou jumped and shouted, Mao Qiu, chase after it and chop it today, master, I must eat the panther meat. The unlucky wind-edge panther was soon killed by the heavenly lightning and fell to the ground with grievance. Hei Shinjo walked to the wind-blade panther and kicked it. She pouted and said, "You think I'm easy to bully because I don't have any spiritual power? Tui. When I had such low spiritual power, didn't I trick Mao Qiuqiu into using up all the power of the lightning and finally acknowledge me as its master?" Hei Shinjo laughed dryly when she saw Mao Qiuqiu turn from black to pink in embarrassment. "Mao Qiu, I'm just saying, master. If it weren't for my little trick back then, how would we be able to live a harmonious life now? Besides, haven't you seen a lot of great things with me?" Mao Qiu ignored him arrogantly, obviously still embarrassed and angry. Hei Shinjo touched her chin and was about to say something nice to cheer Mao Qiu up when her heart suddenly moved and her eyes lit up. She knew how to undo the spiritual power confinement on her body. When she had transmigrated back then, her original body could not cultivate, but she could only cultivate after being struck by lightning. Her current situation was no different from her original situation. Could she undo the spiritual power confinement on her body if she was struck by lightning for a while? Thinking of this, Hei Shinjo waved her hands and said to Mao Qiuqiu, "Mao Qiuqiu, quick, come and strike me." Mao Qiuqiu was stunned at first, then, she said somewhat arrogantly, "Humph, master, are you trying to trick me into using up all the power of lightning again? Don't even think about it this time. Jing Jing has stored a lot of power of lightning. I can do it for a few days and nights." Hei Shinjo was delighted when she heard this. Lightning could strike here at any time. Would she be able to enter this place if she wanted to level up in the future? Chapter 3669 recreated the classic hairstyle. The more Hei Shinjo thought about it, the more beautiful she became. Finally, she was about to experience extreme bliss. "Mao Qiu, I didn't ask you to hack me to play with you. I wanted you to untie my spiritual power confinement. No matter how powerful that big bastard is, how can he be as powerful as the heavenly thunder?" Mao Qiu was stunned at first, then she bounced a few times and said, "Master, you are really too smart. Then, shall I start hacking you now?" Hei Shinjo nodded her head repeatedly with a smile on her face. She was in a great mood. Mao Qiu immediately started to form a seal and the heavenly lightning kept striking at Hei Shinjo. It did not have any effect at the beginning. After all, the heavenly lightning in the Great Void Mystic Realm could not be compared to the real heavenly lightning. Even the heavenly lightning struck by little Wu Yun was much stronger than it. Hei Shinjo was a little discouraged. The heavenly lightning was too weak. It was probably not useful for breaking through. It was even worse than little Wu Yun. However, it was better than nothing. Even a mosquito's leg was meat, right? After hacking for 2 hours, Hei Shinjo finally felt that the spiritual energy restriction was slightly loosened. She could not help but be overjoyed. "Mao Qiu, try harder. There's a door." Mao Qiu was also very excited when she heard it. The Great Void Mystic Realm was filled with the rumbling thunder. After 4 hours, although the spiritual energy confinement was not completely removed, Hei Shinjo felt that it was only a matter of time. In another 4 hours, it should be able to be removed. This fellow pondered while being struck by lightning. Could it be that the Great Void Mirror had already thought of this method, but did not tell her? Or could it be that it really had no way? Hei Shinjo pondered for a while, but she couldn't come up with a conclusion. Therefore, she decided not to think about it anymore. 4 hours later, the spiritual energy confinement on Hei Shinjo was finally lifted. The guy said in a high-spirited voice, "Mao Qiuqiu, let's go. Let's let Jing Jing release me now. I'll go and take revenge on that bastard." However, Mao Qiuqiu didn't say anything. Instead, she looked at Hei Shinjo in a daze. Hei Shinjo frowned. Mao Qiu, are you stupid?" Mao Qiu pointed at Hei Shinjo and stammered, "Master, your hair, and your eyebrows." Hei Shinjo took out a mirror to take a look. The bald hairstyle that had not appeared for a long time had appeared again. Yes, her eyebrows had also been chopped off. This fellow suddenly felt terrible. Ever since her spiritual power had reached a certain level, even if she did not wear a handkerchief on her head, the heavenly lightning did not chop off all her hair. This time, it was probably because her spiritual power had been restricted and she had been turned into a bald lady again. The moment He Shinjo thought of Prime Minister Sima and the others looking at her new hairstyle, she immediately felt that she had nothing left to live for. This fellow gritted his teeth. No matter what, he could not let them see their country-toppling beauty, the female emperor, turn into a bald lady. This fellow rummaged through his storage ring and finally found a hair growth pill that he had not used for a long time. He smeared it all over his head and eyebrows. If not for the fact that he still had many things to do, this fellow would have stayed in the Great Void Mystic Realm for a few more days no matter what. He did not want to go out with a bald lady on his head. He Shinjo finished smearing the hair growth pill, drew her eyebrows, and wrapped her head in a headscarf before she heaved a sigh of relief. At least she could go out and meet people in this manner. Everything was ready. He Shinjo and Mao Mao Chio hopped around to find the Great Void Mirror. Jing Jing, let me out quickly. I want to seek revenge on that big bastard. He Shinjo said with a big kitchen knife in her hand. The Great Void Mirror naturally would not answer her. Instead, Mao Mao Chio said weakly, Master, Jing Jing said that you can only use the old way to get out. Chapter 3670, Scourge lives for 1,000 years the old way. He Shinjo suddenly recalled the only two experiences. When she was about to go out, she had to drop her blood on the flower heart of the ancient mirror lotus. Then, the damn Great Void Mirror would suck her up and not let go, wishing that it could suck her into a mummy. Fortunately, it was Guai Chao who had saved her both times. Otherwise, the damn Great Void Mirror would have really sucked her blood dry. He Shinjo gritted her teeth and looked at the huge mirror. The mirror was still surrounded by clouds and mist, so she could not see what was written on it clearly. Pooh! It was deliberately mystifying. He Shinjo knew that the Great Void Mirror was a man of its word. No matter how much she said, it would be useless. Therefore, she said to Guai Chao in her dantian, Go Weiba, when Xiao Jing sucks my blood later, you have to save me quickly, okay? Guai Chao agreed readily this time. Yi Zi shook her head happily, indicating that she understood. He Shinjo narrowed her eyes. Guai Chao must be guilty. Could it be that it had some weak water in its hands? HMPH, damn Go Weiba. Well, see about that. After He Shinjo finished communicating with Guai Chao, she bared her teeth and made a cut on her finger, dripping her blood on the center of the ancient mirror lotus. As expected, the mirror produced a huge suction force again, as if it was going to suck He Shinjo into the mirror. He Shinjo quickly shouted, Go Weiba. Save me. A drop of cool liquid flowed out from He Xinjia's finger. The grand illusionary mirror seemed to be very afraid of this liquid. He Shinjo felt her finger loosen, and a dazzling white light flashed in front of her eyes. I fell to my death. He Shinjo fell heavily on her but the remnant soul of the black tortoise was shocked. It looked at the little girl on the ground suspiciously. Why was she wearing a headscarf on such a hot day? However, its eyes quickly revealed a greedy light. This little girl must have a treasure on her. And it was a treasure with a mustard seed space. This mustard seed space did not refer to a low-level mustard seed space like the spirit beast bag and storage ring. Instead, it was a high-level mustard seed space that formed its own small world. While Black Tortoise was thinking greedily, it heard the little girl say fiercely, Big bastard. You made me suffer so much before. Today, I will make you into a bastard. He Shinjo released Tao Wu, Cheong Chi, and De Hua as she said that. She also rushed up with a big kitchen knife. The greed in Black Tortoise's eyes instantly turned into fear. Tao Wu, Cheong Chi, and Tao Tai. How was this possible? How could this wretched girl have the remnant souls of 3 ferocious beasts at the same time? didn't they say that once the remnant souls reached the outside world, they would be struck by lightning? Hei Shinjo naturally did not give Black Tortoise the chance to be stunned. She raised the large kitchen knife and slashed fiercely. While slashing, she cursed, "I'll kill you, you big bastard. How dare you try to kill me? Tian Dao hasn't even killed me yet, and you big bastard, still want to kill me? Dream on." Cheong Chi chimed in, "That's right. How can such a bad person like the little fairy die so easily? Haven't you heard the saying that good people don't live long, but evil people live for 1,000 years? Hei Shinjo hacked for a while and realized that she couldn't help much, so she decided not to hack anymore. Instead, she retreated to the side and cheered for Cheong Chi and the others. This guy caught a glimpse of the big bastard's shell from the corner of his eye. He thought to himself that the big bastard's shell would spontaneously combust later anyway, so he might as well chop off a piece of it to avoid wasting it. Therefore, this guy picked up a large kitchen knife and started to chop the big bastard's shell with a small flame and a large kitchen knife. Black Tortoise naturally saw it and was so angry that it was twitching. However, it could not protect itself now, and there was no way to stop Hei Shinjo. Chapter 3671, The Jealous Meng Yanshou. Hei Xinjia's thoughts were pretty good, but the Black Tortoise's shell was too hard. Even though Hei Shinjo had a large kitchen knife and a small flame, she was so busy that her forehead was covered in sweat. It was not easy for her to chop off a small piece of turtle shell that was the size of a thumb. This was because there was some damage there to begin with. Otherwise, it would not have been able to come off. "Little bastard, I'll give this turtle shell to you." Although this bastard's heart ached a little, he felt very guilty for breaking the turtle shell of little bastard's mother, so he simply put this small piece of turtle shell directly into the spirit beast pouch. Little bastard was very excited when he saw the turtle shell. Although this turtle shell was very small, being able to obtain the Black Tortoise's turtle shell was still very helpful to his cultivation. Meng Yanshou saw the little bastard's excited look and could not help but feel a little sour in his heart. This black-hearted little girl was really nice to her spiritual pet. Why did she scold and beat it? Was it because it was not her spiritual pet? That was not right. Tao Wu and Cheong Chi were not her spiritual pets either. She was also very friendly to them. The black-hearted little girl was really biased. No one knew how long it would take for this little girl to save its main body. How long would it take for this broken rabbit to drive its shell? It was really enough. The nightmare beast sighed in its heart. Actually, it was not the black-hearted little girl's fault. She had grinded the hook for such a long time. It was really too difficult to cut off the black iron chain that locked its main body. Sigh, he could only wait for the right opportunity. Forget it, it was better to read the conversation book to soothe the wound in its young heart. Hei Shinjo did not know that a certain beast was jealous. This fellow continued to chop the turtle shell. Anyway, it was such a big piece, it was not a big deal for her to chop it. At this time, the battle had also come to an end. Although the Black Tortoise was more powerful than the Golden Dragon and White Tiger, it still could not escape the fate of being eaten by others. Cheong Chi thought regretfully, why are there only 4 godly beasts? If only there were a few hundred of them. In this way, even without the Great Void's soul-repairing array, it could still produce its shell. While Cheong Chi was thinking, he heard Hei Shinjo exclaim, "Ouch!" It turned out that Hei Shinjo was chopping the shell when the shell and the skeleton suddenly burst into flames. The bastard was shocked. The bastard sighed regretfully, "I've worked for so long for nothing. Fortunately, I've already chopped off a small piece for the little bastard." When Hei Shinjo was sighing, the ashes had already turned into a pure white bastard. Hei Shinjo was quite disgusted with this bastard. She picked it up and put it aside, saying to Cheong Chi, "Look after this bastard. I'll go and pull the 10,000-year black iron chain." Cheong Chi immediately said obsequiously, "Little fairy, don't worry. I'll look after it." Yun Chujo nodded and went to pull the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. This thing could only be found by chance. If it was found, it must not be let go. At first, Cheong-chi watched Hei Shinjo pulling the black iron chain with great interest. After a long time, it felt that it was no longer interesting, so its gaze fell on the bastard. It glanced at the expressionless Tao Wu beside it and sneakily sniffed the bastard. It was a pity that it could not taste the meat of the four godly beasts. It was such a pity that it could not taste such a good opportunity before its eyes. It did not know when the little girl would help them restore their souls, but it could not wait. Chapter 3672. Just as Cheong-chi was thinking about it, it heard a crack. It looked down and saw a crack on the black turtle egg and a few more cracks. Was it going to be born? Cheong-chi felt a little guilty. Could it be because it sniffed it? It could sniff out the problem. This guy was afraid that Hei Shinjo would pursue it, so he quickly shouted, little fairy, come and take a look. This bastard has cracked." Hei Shinjo heard Cheong-chi's shout and hurried over. She was puzzled. How did it break its shell so quickly? Logically speaking, a turtle was the slowest. There was no reason for it to be born so soon. However, what happened next made Hei Shinjo feel terrible. Although the bastard had cracked open, there was nothing inside. It was just an empty eggshell. Where is the little bastard inside? Where did the little bastard go? Cheong-chi widened his eyes. How was this possible? How could it be an empty shell? At this moment, Tao Wu reported in a muffled voice, "Little fairy, that idiot had sneakily approached that bastard just now. It must be its doing." Cheong-chi was so angry that he almost fainted. "Tao Wu, you idiot. This is blatant slander. I was close to that bastard, but I only sniffed it once. How could I not smell that little bastard?" Cheong-chi was afraid that Yun Chujo would not believe it, so he continued, "Little fairy, you saw the bastard crack with your own eyes. Even if I really had the intention, I did not have the chance to do it. Besides, I am only a remnant soul now. At most, I will eat the remnant soul of the little bastard. How can I eat the flesh?" Yun Chujo looked at Cheong-chi. Although this Cheong-chi usually spoke incoherently, it did not look like it was lying. Where did this damn bastard go? She blinked her eyes and tried to pick up the eggshell. She was even more convinced that Cheong-chi was not lying because the weight was the same as before. This meant that the inside of the eggshell was empty. However, as the Xuanwu egg was too heavy and she hated it, she did not pay too much attention to it. Otherwise, she would have noticed it when she carried it just now. When Cheong-chi heard Hei Xinjia's words, he immediately felt that he had been vindicated. He looked at Tao Wu proudly. "Humph. Did you hear that? The little fairy will not listen to your slander and malign me. If you complain about me again in the future, I will not forgive you." Tao Wu could not be bothered with this idiot. He only stared at the broken shell with a heavy gaze. It was actually an empty egg. Hei Shinjo could not help but smile bitterly. She had encountered strange things in the past few days. First, the obedient kitten had bitten through the white tiger's egg. Now, the black tortoise egg was an empty egg. She did not know how to explain it to Xue Wuji after she left. She had promised to give him a divine beast cub, but now, none of it had come true. There was still one more important thing. If the black tortoise egg was broken, could she still leave this stone hall? Yun Chujo was hoping that the egg shell would give birth to a new black tortoise, so she prepared another spirit beast pouch and kept the egg shell inside. This fellow pondered for a while. Waiting like this was not a solution. It was better to pull down the 10,000-year-old black iron chain first. If it really did not work, she could still enter the great void mystic realm to hide. What was there to be afraid of? Hence, this fellow pulled down the 6 10,000-year-old mysterious chains. Following that, the stone hall began to shake. Some stones had already started to fall off. Chapter 3673, The family of Wangba He Xinjiu was desperate. She took out a piece of eggshell and said, "Let us out now. Otherwise, you won't have a chance to be reborn." Unfortunately, there was no reaction. At that moment, the big rocks on the roof of the hall started to fall. If He Xinjiu had not released her spiritual energy barrier, she would have been smashed into a meat patty. The guy had no choice but to tell Mao Qiu, "Ask Xiao Jingjing to take me in. When the collapse is over, ask Xiao He to dig a hole out." Then, He Xinjiu heard the news that shocked her. "Master, Xiao Jingjing said that you used too much power of lightning before, so she can't take you in for the time being." He Xinjiu, at this moment, her heart felt like it was being cursed by a dog. She had never expected such an ending. If she had known this would happen, she would not have touched the last 10,000-year-old mysterious iron chain. Now, it was obviously useless to regret or complain about the Great Void Mirror. The most important thing was to find a way to leave this place. Just as He Xinjiu was having a hard time, she heard the voice of the little black bird through her spiritual sense. "Master, Curly Hair said that the little bastard has a way to bring us out of here." The reason why the nightmare beast did not tell Yun Chujiu directly was that it was not Yun Chujiu's contracted beast, so it could not communicate with her through spiritual sense. The reason why Meng Yanshou did not tell Yun Chujiu directly was because it was not Yun Chujiu's contracted beast. At this moment, Yun Chujiu could not care less about the strangeness of this sentence. If the little bastard had a way to leave, the little bastard could have just told her himself. Why did the nightmare beast have to say it through Xiao Hei's mouth? She immediately let the little bastard out. The little bastard looked confused and aggrieved. "Master, I have no choice. Curly Hair is talking nonsense." He Xinjiu was also desperate. She said fiercely, "Black Tortoise is a bastard, and you are a bastard too. Besides, maybe you are related to Black Tortoise. Maybe you can. Hurry up and try, or we will really be buried alive." The little bastard was about to cry. How could it know how to get out? In desperation, it took out the thumb-sized turtle shell that He Xinjiu had given it and started to make seals with its claws according to the chant it had used to use its mother's turtle shell. However, there was no response. Just as He Xinjiu was about to put the little bastard away and leave the stone platform to hide in a corner, the thumb-sized turtle shell emitted a dazzling white light. An idea suddenly appeared in He Xinjiu's mind. As expected, all the bastards in the world were related by blood. When He Xinjiu regained her sight, she had already arrived at the square of the Divine Hall of the North Xian Kingdom. Di Baiming and the others were still waiting there. When they saw He Xinjiu come out, they were all pleasantly surprised. However, when Emperor Beijing and the others saw the scarf on He Xinjiu's head, they couldn't help but wonder, what was this Empress Fenghua up to? Could it be that her head was injured? So she wrapped it with a headscarf? Di Baiming and the other two had a rough guess. Xue Wuji couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Little sister Jiu, your hair." Before Xue Wuji could finish his sentence, he was glared back at by He Xinjiu. It was as if she would end their friendship if he continued to spout nonsense. Xue Wuji had no choice but to swallow his words. Just as he was about to say something, a gust of wind blew from somewhere. The scarf on He Xinjiu's head had loosened a little due to this ordeal. Then, everyone, Emperor Beijing, Prime Minister Sima, and a few hundred guards, saw He Xinjiu's shiny new hairstyle. Chapter 3674 Glorious image was destroyed. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. Other than the sound of the altar collapsing, there was no other sound. Prime Minister Sima widened his eyes and looked at their Majesties' shiny bald head in disbelief. Oh God, was their Majesty quarreling with the Empress and wanting to become a monk? Xue Wuji and Enfeng wanted to laugh but did not dare to. They almost suffered internal injuries. On the other hand, when a certain someone saw He Xinjiu's shiny hairstyle, he recalled many things in the past. He looked at He Xinjiu with a doting and loving gaze. He Xinjiu's mind was blank. As she looked at the headscarf that drifted away with the wind, it was as if she saw her glorious image drifting away with it. However, this fellow quickly calmed down. He took out another headscarf from his storage ring and put it on his head. He didn't explain the matter of the hair, but said, Emperor Beijing, the black tortoise has decided to sleep for the time being, so it won't appear again for a while. Send someone to guard the divine hall and don't let anyone in. I still have things to deal with, so I'll take my leave now. Emperor Beijing finally came back to his senses. He nodded blankly and said a few more words to persuade him to stay. He Xinzhou said a few words perfunctorily, then left the divine hall with Prime Minister Sima and the others, leaving the capital city of Bei Xian Kingdom. On the way, Prime Minister Sima realized that His Majesty and that young Master Di looked normal, so he put his heart back into his stomach. When they arrived outside the capital, Yun Chuzhou said to Prime Minister Sima, the few of us still have things to do. Bring your men and return to the capital of the East Phoenix Kingdom immediately. If the Li Hen Palace makes trouble before I return, you don't have to panic. You can just join forces with the other 8 kingdoms to resist. Prime Minister Sima was already used to His Majesty disappearing from time to time, so he nodded repeatedly and left with his men. After Yun Chuzhou and the other 3 boarded the flying spiritual artifact, He Xinzhou laughed dryly. Brother Wuji, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened to the black tortoise, but it turned into an empty egg in the end. I'll give it to you when the egg shell gives birth to the little black tortoise. Shui Wuji opened his mouth and sighed. Sigh, it's most likely that I don't have the life of a divine beast or spiritual pet. Otherwise, why would there always be problems? Little sister Jiu, you don't have to blame yourself. You can't force this opportunity. He Xinzhou comforted him a few more times, then said to Di Baiming, Prince Charming, before we go to the bottomless ice abyss of the immortal Yuan continent, let's find a sea first. I'll release the shadow-skimming giant winged bird. Di Baiming frowned slightly. There's no sea on our way to the bottomless ice abyss. In the towering sky continent, only the northern continent has the sea, so you can keep it for now. He Xinzhou was a little discouraged when she heard this. However, time was of the essence, so it was better to first nourish the souls of Cheong Qi and the others. It was not too late to find a place for these birds to nest after the matter with the Li Hen Palace came to an end. Thus, the 4 of them sped all the way to the valley that led to the boundless ice abyss. No wonder this place is covered in snow all year round. It turns out that it is connected to the boundless ice abyss in the immortal Yuan continent, He Xinzhou said as she looked at the thick snow on the distant mountain. Shui Wuji curled his lips and said, Little sister Jiu, you don't know that this place is not only very cold, but the demonic beasts are also very fierce. When we came from the bottomless ice abyss, we suffered a lot because our spiritual power was not as strong as it is now. However, it's different this time. Big Brother can deal with those demonic beasts alone. Chapter 3675 Cat Cubs Transformation. The 4 of them chatted and laughed as they entered the valley. Just as Shui Wuji had said, there were many ferocious demonic beasts in the valley. However, because of Di Baiming and Shui Wuji, as well as Feng and He Xinzhou, the 4 of them entered the tunnel without much effort. It was very cold in the tunnel, and there were blue demonic insects attacking from time to time. These demonic insects could spit out blue flames. If a mortal met them, they would definitely die. Fortunately, Yun Chuzhou and the rest were all cultivators, so they could use their spiritual energy to resist. After walking for 2 days, they finally passed through the long tunnel and arrived at the bottomless ice abyss. Yun Chuzhou immediately set up the formation of the Great Void Soul Repairing Formation, and then placed Cheong Qi, Tao Wu, and a bunch of remnant souls into the formation. Although the ancient cultivator's corpses in Yun Chuzhi's storage ring had restrictions and could not be possessed by these remnant souls, it was still very beneficial to solidify their remnant souls. Hence, both Cheong Qi and the remnant souls of the cultivators enjoyed gathering their souls in the Great Void Soul Repairing Formation. He Xinzhou was nestled in Di Baiming's arms. She was murmuring about how sad she was when Di Baiming was frozen. Shui Wuji looked at the pink bubble between the two of them. He could not help but think of the unfaithful girl and his precious son. He felt very sour in his heart. And Feng's expression was also gloomy. It had been a long time since he had heard from Jin Ji. He did not know when he would see her again. In fact, he would rather Jin Ji did not ascend to the towering sky continent first. Although the southern continent would soon be taken over by Mischievous, the southern continent and the northern continent were not the same. There would be big trouble sooner or later. While the four of them were thinking about their own matters, the Meng Yanshou was so smug that it wanted to come out and experience the Great Void's soul-mending formation. He Xingjiu did not scold it this time and let it out. How could the rabbit shell of the Meng Yanshou withstand such a severe cold? It died on the spot. The Meng Yanshou did not mind. Anyway, there were plenty of rabbit shells. The old ones would not go and the new ones would not come. Meng Yanshou went into the array as well. Although his condition was different from Cheong Qi and the others, there was no harm in replenishing it. He Xingjiu looked at Meng Yanshou and couldn't help but think that the cat cub's confinement time was almost up. Therefore, she took the cat cub out of the separate spiritual beast bag and prepared to put it into the big spiritual beast bag. However, she was surprised to find that the cat cub's originally fiery red fur was mixed with some snow-white colors. What was going on? Cat cub, what's wrong with your fur? The cat cub's eyes flashed and said with a blank expression, maybe it's because I have the Pixius bloodline, so there's a slight change. Yun Chuzhou thought about it and agreed. This cat cub had the appearance of a fire-breathing cat before, so it was normal for it to have a change. She took a closer look at the cat cub and exclaimed, "Eh? Didn't you have a small horn on your head? Why is it gone?" The kitten touched the top of its head with its paw and said vaguely, "I don't know. Maybe it will grow back in a few days." Yun Chuzhou subconsciously reached out to touch the top of the kitten's head. The kitten immediately broke free from Yun Chuzhou's hand and jumped onto the ground. Yun Chuzhou could not help but be stunned. Before she could say anything, the kitten jumped back into her hand and said with some grievance, "Master, I haven't eaten for half a month. I'm so hungry that I can't stand still." Chapter 3676, The Silly Cuties Go Hunting. Yun Chuzhou could not help but laugh. Yes, this kitten had been hungry for half a month. It was better to feed it something first. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou took out a small dried fish from her storage ring and said to the kitten, "I'll let you off this time. Next time, if you get into trouble again, it won't be as simple as confinement. Eat it." When the kitten saw the small dried fish, its round eyes showed some disdain. Just when it was hesitating whether to eat it or not, it heard Yun Chuzhou say, "Kitten, don't you love eating dried fish the most? Eat it quickly." The kitten's body stiffened, then it opened its mouth and began to eat the small dried fish. Yun Chuzhou poked the kitten's small head and scolded with a smile, "You foodie. Aren't you afraid of choking when you eat so fast?" Before Yun Chuzhou finished her sentence, the kitten was stuck by a fish bone, and it was the kind that rolled its eyes. He Xingjiu immediately panicked. Was the cat eating the fish stuck by the fish bone? What should she do when she encountered such a difficult problem that only appeared once in 1,000 years? A thought flashed through his mind. He simply picked up the cat's tail and shook it crazily, hoping to get the fish bone out of the kitten's throat. The cat was dizzy from the swing, but fortunately, the fish bone was successfully removed. The cat's eyes revealed a fierce look, but it soon disappeared. He Xingjiu put it into the spirit beast bag with a drooping head. After He Xingjiu put the cat away, she said to Di Baiming and the other two, "This cat hasn't been normal since it ate my rejuvenation pill. I don't know how long it will take for it to become stronger." Di Baiming frowned slightly, "Little Jiu, you are too indulgent with those idiots. If you were a little more strict with them, they wouldn't be so useless." The few animals in the spirit beast bag shivered when they heard a certain lord's words. This Jinx just couldn't stand to see them be good. They were always slanderous in front of He Xingjiu's master. How could they be useless? He Xingjiu felt that Di Baiming's words made sense. Although these dumb cubs were still young, they were indeed a little weak. Therefore, He Xingjiu released the few dumb cubs from the spirit beast pouch and said to them, "There's nothing much to do these few days, you guys go out and hunt. It's a good opportunity to train your cold resistance and combat ability." The other silly cuties were fine, but Xiao Mogu could not withstand the cold. He Xingjiu also knew that its situation was special, so she kept Xiao Mogu. Xiao Hanyo was about to act cute and lazy, but when it saw a certain cold gaze, it immediately obediently rolled away like a ball and went hunting. Yun Chujiu was not worried about the safety of the silly cuties. Although they were trash in Atlas mainland, they were not a problem here. When the dumb cubs were within He Xingjiu's line of sight, they were quite harmonious. However, once they left He Xingjiu's line of sight, they would not stop. Xiao Hanyo looked at the dumb cubs arrogantly. "There's a first come, first served basis. I'm your boss, so you have to listen to me when it comes to hunting." Xiao He and Xiao Hong nodded repeatedly. They had long been subdued by Xiao Hanyo, so they were naturally very supportive. The little bastard stared with its round eyes and did not say anything. The cat cub's eyes revealed a trace of craftiness as it nodded its head. Xiao Hanyo saw that these silly cuties were very obedient and immediately felt that it was great. It chose a direction and brought the silly cuties to hunt. Chapter 3677, The Kitten with a Stomachache. When the sky was getting dark, Xiao Hanyo brought her little brothers back with great vigor. Yun Chujiu looked at the loot of the silly cuties and nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that it was better to let them go. In fact, the silly cuties were much more powerful than she had imagined. Thus, in the next few days, Xiao Hanyo would bring the silly cuties out to hunt. In the beginning, they were still working together. Later, in order to slack off, Xiao Hanyo found a place to sleep in the wind and let the other dumb cubs take turns to hunt. On this day, after Xiao Hanyo sent the dumb cubs out, he lay on the ground and slept soundly. When Xiao Hanyo was sleeping soundly, he realized that there was movement. He opened his possessed eyes vigilantly. When he saw that it was the cat cub, he said angrily, "Cat cub, why are you back so soon? Where is your prey?" Xiao Hanyo said, "My stomach is not feeling well. I will rest for a while and then go hunting. I will be responsible for guarding you, so you can sleep for a while." Xiao Hanyo curled its lips. It did not believe that Xiao Hanyo really had a stomachache. It must be trying to slack off. However, it thought about it. With Xiao Hanyo guarding it, it could have a good sleep. Hence, Xiao Hanyo stared at Xiao Hanyo and said, "All right, then you better watch over Xiao Hanyo. If you play any tricks, I won't let you off." Xiao Hanyo nodded obediently and lay down not far from Xiao Hanyo, helping Xiao Hanyo to be on guard. Xiao Hanyo was quite pleased in his heart. It was better to be a big shot. Hence, Xiao Hanyo closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. A moment later, Xiao Hanyo's eyes revealed a fierce look as he quietly approached Xiao Hanyo. Sharp spikes suddenly appeared on his claws as he stabbed towards Xiao Hanyo's throat. Just when his claws were less than a foot away from Xiao Hanyo's throat, a sharp pain came from his spiritual sense. Xiao Hanyo fell to the ground and rolled around with his head in his hands. Xiao Hanyo was startled by the commotion. It was shocked when it saw the situation in front of it. Xiao Hanyo, what's wrong with you?" Xiao Hanyo roared, "Be careful, Bai." Xiao Hanyo was confused. "Xiao Hanyo, be careful of Bai. What's wrong with you?" Xiao Hanyo's eyes flashed with a hint of viciousness. Then, he said weakly, "My stomach hurt again just now. It's better now. I wanted to warn you that the day is almost over and they haven't come back yet. If we go back late, Master will be angry." Xiao Hanyo looked at Xiao Hanyo suspiciously. However, he saw that Xiao Hanyo's body was soaked in cold sweat. He said with concern, "Since your stomach hurts, quickly go back and ask Master to take a look at you." Xiao Hanio's eyes flickered a few times before he nodded. All right, then be careful. I'll go back and ask Master to take a look for me. Xiao Hanio nodded. When he saw Xiao Hanio walking towards the camp, he closed his eyes again. What Xiao Hanio didn't know was that after Xiao Hanio left his sight, he made a turn and his eyes revealed a trace of treachery. Originally, he wanted to eat that stupid bird to nourish himself, but he didn't expect that the idiot that he had already suppressed to actually ruin his plan. He couldn't stay by that stupid girl's side anymore, otherwise, sooner or later, she and those idiots would see through his plan. When the kitten thought of this, he made a circle and quickly jumped towards the direction of the exit of the 100,000 feet deep ice abyss. If Yun Chuzhou were to see this, she would definitely be shocked that the kitten had such an astonishing speed. He was like a dancing flame on the glacier. Chapter 3678, Light and Dark. The cat cub sprinted all the way. Although he encountered a few waves of demonic beasts along the way, and there were even large groups of demonic beasts, he relied on his extremely fast movement techniques to escape. Very soon, he reached the end of the bottomless ice abyss. When the cat cub saw the ice wall that towered into the clouds, he was so angry that he almost fainted. This ice wall was extremely smooth. Although he was good at climbing, he was unable to climb up. The kitten circled around the ice wall for a few dozen times before finally gritting its teeth and muttering, "Looks like I can only return to that little girl's side first and then look for an opportunity to escape." As soon as the kitten finished speaking, another voice appeared in its divine sense, "White Tiger, you are a divine beast in vain. You actually did such a heartless thing as possessing a body." The kitten snorted coldly, "Idiot, shut up. If it weren't for the white tiger bloodline in your body, I wouldn't have been involuntarily put into the spirit beast pouch by that smelly girl. So, all of this is your own fault. What does it have to do with me? You better behave yourself, or I will really devour you. Idiot. Don't think that I don't know what you are planning. Aren't you just afraid that if you really devour me, Master will notice something strange? White Tiger, you are underestimating Master too much. Sooner or later, she will find out that you are a fake. Tisk. Right now, not only do we share a body, but we also share a spiritual sense. Even if that little girl suspects something, she won't notice the abnormality in our spiritual sense. Therefore, she would never have dreamed that her spiritual pet had been possessed by me." When the kitten said this, it couldn't help but frown. In the past, it wouldn't have said such rude words like, because it didn't match its noble status as a divine beast. Fuck. It must have been abducted by those idiots recently. Another voice quickly sounded, "If you don't leave my body now, you will regret it sooner or later." The kitten pursed its lips. Just give up on this idea. Not only do you have the blood of a Pai Xiao and a white tiger in your body, but you also have the blood of a Qilin. Moreover, you have eaten the egg liquid that has condensed the essence of the white tiger's body. There is no other perfect shell-expelling method in this world. After the kitten finished speaking, its powerful spiritual sense once again suppressed the kitten's spiritual sense. It could not help but recall the events of that day. Although it was only an egg at that time, it already had intelligence. It was a majestic divine beast, so it would not be easily contracted by others. Therefore, even if that idiot in red dripped a lot of blood on the egg, it still forcefully resisted being contracted. It originally thought that it could hide in the ruins during the chaos, but it did not expect that it would be put into the spirit beast pouch by that smelly girl. After it entered the spirit beast pouch, it immediately discovered this perfect shell. When the kitten thought of this, it could not help but feel secretly proud. Fortunately, their white tiger clan had a secret technique that allowed them to attach their own spiritual sense to the original owner's spiritual sense. Moreover, no one could detect the abnormality of the spiritual sense. No matter how smart that smelly girl was, she would never have thought that a divine sense could be divided into two souls, one light and one dark. The original body of that idiot could only be suppressed by her to become the dark soul. When the cat cub saw the ice wall that reached into the clouds, his expression became frustrated again. He originally thought that after he escaped this place, he would devour the original divine soul. This way, he would be able to completely get rid of that smelly girl. He did not expect that there would be an ice wall here, so he could only go back first. Just as the kitten was thinking, he heard Yunchuji's shout from afar, "Kitten, kitten." The kitten gritted his teeth and used his sharp claws to cut a deep wound on one of his legs. Then, he retracted his sharp claws. Chapter 3679, Framing Xiao Hanyo. The kitten meowed a few times. When it saw Yunchuji's figure, it limped towards He Xinjiu. Yunchujiu ran a few steps and picked the kitten up. When she saw the wound on its leg, her eyes immediately turned fierce. "Which blind monster hurt you? Go, master will avenge you." The kitten whimpered, "There's no need to look for it. It's a demon beast with long white fur. I've blinded its eyes. It probably won't be any better." When Yunchujiu heard the kitten's words, she patted its small head with relief. "Good job, kitten. Come, master will help you apply some medicine powder. You'll recover very soon." As Yunchujiu spoke, she took out some powder to stop the bleeding and sprinkled it on the kitten's leg. Then, she tied it carefully with a white cloth. Finally, she tied it with a small bow. The kitten suddenly felt something that it had never felt before. It instinctively resisted this feeling. It rolled its eyes and began to complain. "Master, where is brother Xiao Hanyo? That dumbass is waiting at the camp." "What's wrong?" Yunchujiu asked in confusion. The kitten said shyly, "Master, although it's wrong to complain, Xiao Hanyo hasn't hunted for the past few days. It's all because of us. Moreover, my stomach is hurting today. It even forced me to hunt. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been chased here by that demonic beast. Master, I'm not saying this to let you punish brother Xiao Hanyo. I just want to tell you the truth." Yunchujiu narrowed her eyes. The kitten's personality was originally reckless and straightforward. Ever since its body became smaller, it became even more silly and cute. It wouldn't say such white lotus words. Could it be because of the awakening of the Pishio bloodline? Although many questions flashed through her mind, Yunchujiu put on an angry expression. "I know. Let's see how I'll deal with that dumbass when I get back." When the kitten heard Yunchuji's words, a trace of pride flashed across its eyes. It was good that it stayed. It would be a good opportunity to sow discord between this stinky girl and those idiots. Perhaps it would have a chance to eat them. Yunchujiu put the kitten into the spiritual beast bag and returned to the camp. The little black bird was anxiously looking around, especially the little black bird. It was very regretful in its heart. If it had known earlier, it would have personally escorted the kitten back to the camp. Nothing must happen to it. Therefore, when it saw that Yunchujiu had returned, it immediately went up to greet her. "Master, where is the kitten? Have you found the kitten?" Yunchujiu kicked Xiao Hanyo. "You dumbass. Say, have you been slacking off recently? You clearly know that the kitten has a stomachache, yet you still let it go hunting. You've really rebelled. From today onwards, you'll be grounded." After Yunchujiu finished speaking, she did not give the Xiao Hanyo a chance to explain and directly threw it into a separate spirit beast bag. Xiao Hanyo and Xiao Hong wanted to plead for the Xiao Hanyo, but when they saw Yunchuji's gloomy expression, they could only swallow their words. They were prepared to wait for Yunchujiu to calm down before pleading for the Xiao Hanyo. On the other hand, the kitten was very proud. TCH. That idiot was still talking about how smart this little girl was. Bullshit. It seemed that it was right for it to decide to stay. Sooner or later, it would have a chance to feast its eyes. The next day, Yunchujiu let the silly cuties go out to hunt again. The kitten's legs had completely recovered, so it followed obediently, ready to find a chance to frame the other silly cuties again. Chapter 3680 was like a beast after the silly cuties had left. Yunchujiu released Xiao Hanyo. Xiao Hanyo hugged Yun Chujia's legs with its short wings and began to howl. It howled with grievance, "Master, why didn't you give me a chance to explain? Although I was lazy, when I found out that the kitten had a stomachache, I told it to come back and ask you for medicinal pills. How did I force it to go hunting? Master, I am your first spiritual pet. We have been through life and death for so many years. You can't just love the new and hate the old. You can't just see the new smiling and not see the old crying." The corner of Shui Wuji and the other's eyes twitched. This Xiao Hanyo was as shameless as their master. Yun Chuzhou said with a gloomy face, "Tell me everything that happened yesterday." Xiao Hanyo immediately told her everything that happened yesterday, and then said, "Master, did the kitten complain to you? I found out that the kitten has been acting strange recently. It ate the white tiger eggs and complained. It's as if it has become a beast." Yun Chuzhou heard Xiao Hanyo's words, and her heart was moved. It was as if it had become a beast. The small horn on her head was gone, and white fur started to appear on her body. She recalled Xiao Hanyo's words of, "Be careful of the white tiger." Yun Chuzhou went through everything that had happened recently. Then, she had a guess. Could it be careful of the white tiger? Why did the kitten say, "Be careful of the white tiger"? And why did it change its words later? Could it be that the kitten had been possessed by the white tiger? But, that was not right. If the kitten had been possessed, the contract between them would be terminated. However, there was nothing unusual at the moment. Moreover, she could communicate with the kitten with her spiritual sense as usual. It did not look like a possession. Yun Chuzhou could not understand it no matter how much she thought about it. However, one thing was certain. There was definitely something wrong with the kitten. Keep an eye on the kittens in the future. Let me know if anything happens. Also, remind the other kittens not to be harmed by the kittens. Xiao Hanyo heard Yun Chujia's words, her possessed eyes immediately shone with admiration. "Master, I knew you were the wisest. You would never accuse me wrongly. Don't worry, leave this matter to me. I will keep an eye on the kittens." Yun Chuzhou nodded. She was still very assured of Xiao Hanyo. Although Xiao Hanyo was not very capable, he was the most scheming. He was the most suitable spy. That night, Yun Chuzhou found a reason to relieve Xiao Hanyo of his confinement. The next day, when they went out to hunt, Xiao Hanyo immediately teamed up with Xiao Hanyo and the rest to beat up Xiao Hanyo. "Kitten, did you fucking complain? Otherwise, why would master punish me without distinguishing between right and wrong? Humph. Let me tell you, even if you act like a white lotus flower, don't even think about shaking my position in master's heart. Master's most beloved spiritual pet can only be me." The kitten was beaten until its face was bruised and swollen. It was furious in its heart. "Fuck, if I wasn't afraid of being exposed, I wouldn't be able to kill all of you." However, since this ugly bird was very concerned about the stinky girl's attitude towards it, then I will think of a way to let that stinky girl only dote on me and anger these idiots to death. The more the kitten thought about it, the more it felt that this method was not bad. Not only could it vent its anger, but it could also be more beneficial for it to sow discord between these idiots and that stinky girl. It was simply a good way to kill two birds with one stone. Hence, from that night onwards, the cat cub kept trying to gain Yun Chujia's favor. It even acted cute and acted coquettishly. It didn't even care about the integrity of the white tiger. Yun Chuzhou snorted in her heart, but on the surface, she looked like she doted on the cat cub. From time to time, she would even take out a few dried fish to reward the cat cub. The kitten looked at the dried fish with a face full of bitterness and hatred. It was a dignified white tiger, why would it care about this stupid thing? It was simply disgusting. However, it was afraid that it would be exposed, so it could only bite the bullet and pretend to be greedy. Unfortunately, it was stuck on the fish bones several times. Yun Chujia's details confirmed that there was something wrong with the kitten, but she still could not figure out what was going on. She was afraid of alerting the enemy, so she did not expose it and happily played along with the kitten. Yun Chujo was a little nervous. In such a short time, she did not know if Tao Wu and the rest could give birth to a shell. Yun Chujo entered the formation and first put away the remnant souls of the ancient cultivators. Then, she looked in the direction of Tao Wu. Tao Wu's remnant soul was much more solid than before, but it did not give birth to a body. Yun Chujo was already prepared for this, so she was not too surprised. She had just kept Tao Wu into the ancient jade bottle when she heard Meng Yanshou cry out in surprise. Yun Chujo followed its line of sight and saw a yellow puppy lying on the ground. Yun Chujo, don't tell me that this puppy is Cheongqi. Where is the beast that I promised? Where is the massacre that I promised? The puppy ran to Yun Chujia's side and hugged Yun Chujia's shoes with its two little paws. Little fairy, I can finally be by your side for a long time in the future. We can finally be in cahoots with each other. Let me ask you, are you surprised? Are you surprised? Hearing the puppy's words, Yun Chujo finally confirmed that this was the idiot Cheongqi. She really could not link the puppy in front of her with the majestic Cheongqi from before. What exactly happened? When Cheongqi saw that Yun Chujo did not say anything, he said to himself, Little fairy, aren't you too surprised? I'm also very surprised. Tao Wu did not create a physical body, I was the only one who succeeded. What does this mean? It means that I'm smarter than him. Yun Chujo could not be bothered to listen to Cheongqi's boasting anymore. She squeezed out a sentence from between her teeth, How did you become like this? Cheongqi was stunned at first, then he said proudly, This is how I can confuse others. No one would have thought that I, the dignified Cheongqi, would look like this. Am I very smart? Speak human language. Well, actually, my soul is not strong enough, so I can only give birth to this body for the time being, Cheongqi said with a guilty conscience. Yun Chujo looked at the little puppy with disdain, but no matter what, it was still a Cheongqi. Maybe it would be powerful in the future, so it was better to keep it first. Therefore, this guy's face suddenly smiled like a flower, Little Chi, master is teasing you. Come, let's make a contract first, and then we can have a good talk. Cheongqi was suddenly favored so much that she immediately made a contract with He Xinjiu in a daze. Then, she heard a new master say coldly, Butt face, you better behave yourself in the future, or I won't forgive you. Butt face? Where was little Chi? Where was their mutual love? Seeing that Cheongqi had been tricked, Meng Yanshou couldn't help but laugh. Ha ha ha, butt face. This name was enough to make it laugh for the rest of its life. The reason why it didn't dare to laugh openly was that Cheongqi was the most vengeful. If it were to bear a grudge, it would be a troublesome matter. Meng Yanshou thought that Cheongqi would be so angry that it would jump up and down. However, what happened next made it dumbfounded. Cheongqi was stunned for a moment. Then, he grabbed He Xinjia's shoes with his two little paws again, looking very flattered. Little fairy, is dog to my new name? I really like it. Master, do you know that I like bad people like you who go back on their words and change their minds faster than flipping a book? Meng Yanshou, damn, this Cheongqi's style was indeed strange. He had never seen or heard of it before. He had learned a lot. He Xinjiu was also dumbfounded, but she couldn't be bothered with this idiot. She took out the spirit stones from the array core and put the array leaf into her storage ring. At this moment, Di Baiming and the others outside finally saw the situation inside the array. The three of them couldn't help but look at the puppy following behind a certain Jiu. What the hell was this? Butt face, who had just come out of the oven, glanced at the three of them and continued to play with a certain Jiu's skirt. Xue Wuji pointed at Butt face and asked in surprise, Little sister Jiu, this can't be Tao Wu or Cheongqi, right? How did it become like this? Butt face, who was playing happily, was immediately unhappy when he heard Xue Wuji's words. So what? Did you eat your rice? Or did you drink your water? As long as my master likes me, my master has given me a great name. Butt-face said proudly. Shui Wuji was not angry, but he knew that it was the idiot Cheong Chi when he heard the tone of his voice. Therefore, he asked He Xinjiu, little sister Jiu, this is Cheong Chi, right? What kind of name did you give it? P.A.N.D.N.O.V. He Xinjiu touched her nose awkwardly. A good name that was unparalleled in the world. Why did she feel a little guilty for no reason? Seeing that He Xinjiu did not say anything, Cheong Chi could not wait to shout, from now on, I will be called Butt-face. How is it? Did the little fairy give me a cool name? Shui Wuji stumbled and almost sat on the ground. This Cheong Chi was not smart, right? Such a name was cool. It was simply too outdated. The corner of a certain honored warrior's eye twitched slightly. In the Dark Continent, the little rascal had given a servant the name Butt-face. He did not expect it to be used on Cheong Chi now. However, with Cheong Chi's current glory, it was a good match to call him Butt-face. Shui Wuji covered his mouth and coughed dryly. Yes, a good name. It's definitely a good name. Butt-face, your master is really good to you. Cheong Chi snorted coldly. Humph. Don't think that I don't know that you are snickering. What do you know? The worse master treats me, the better master treats me. No matter how you sow discord, I will never abandon the little fairy. We will depend on each other for life and death. We will be in cahoots with each other and work in cahoots with each other. Shui Wuji and the other two looked at each other. This Cheong Chi was probably, a psychopath, right? Butt-face did not care what Shui Wuji and the other two were thinking. He showed his loyalty to He Xinjiu every day. Little fairy, you are the worst person I have ever met. You are the thickest person I have ever met. No, you have no face at all. Therefore, you must not abandon me, because we bad guys and fierce beasts are a perfect match. Yun Chujiu looked at the blue sky speechlessly and said faintly, Butt-face, you shouldn't talk so much. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind cutting off your tongue. Butt-face immediately covered his mouth with his little paws. Little fairy, you always threaten your spiritual pet. You are so bad. What should I do? I think I love you even more. I can't help it. As soon as Butt-face finished speaking, he felt Di Baiming's cold gaze. He could not help but tremble and immediately stopped. Yun Chujia's desire to return was like an arrow, so the four of them immediately left the 100,000 feet deep ice abyss and returned to towering sky continent. Just as they left the valley, the sound transmission talisman in Yun Chujia's storage ring started to tremble. Yun Chujiu took it out and took a look. It was a message sent by Prime Minister Sima and the other 8 country monarchs. In summary, the main idea was that the Li Hen Palace had already made a move against the Yutian Kingdom, which was the closest to them, when their threats and inducements were unsuccessful. The allied forces of the 9 countries were currently facing off against the people of the Li Hen Palace at the borders of the Yutian Kingdom. The Li Hen Palace's advantage was that their spirit energy was a level higher than the allied forces of the 9 countries, while the allied forces of the 9 countries had the advantage of having several times more people than the Li Hen Palace. Thus, the two sides were currently in a stalemate. When He Xinjiu heard this news, not only did she not panic, she even heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as the Li Hen Palace made their move. She was afraid that the Li Hen Palace would not make a move. As time passed, the alliance of the 9 countries would definitely loosen up. When that time came, things would not be easy to handle. As for the hateful palace, this fellow did not feel that there was anything to be afraid of. Although the hateful palace had dominated the southern continent for many years and seemed to be the overlord of a region, in reality, the hateful palace relied on their methods to play with people's hearts. In reality, their strength was not as terrifying as they had imagined. Of course, the hateful palace's original plan could not be said to be unshrewd. On one hand, they would use the imperial advisors of various countries to firmly control the public opinion of various countries, and they would become the second emperor of each countrypan, DN0VE1, CM. However, all of this had completely collapsed because of He Xingjiu, this variable. The imperial advisors of each country had already become street rats. The prestige that the Li Hen Palace had accumulated for many years had been destroyed in an instant. In addition, the emperors of each country had long been fed up with the Li Hen Palace's oppression. This battle, the Li Hen Palace would lose without a doubt. However, it was only a matter of time. It was precisely because He Xingjiu had the confidence to win that she had the leisure to go to the boundless ice abyss to help Cheong Qi and the others solidify their souls. Otherwise, how could she dare to leave so casually? A few days later, He Xingjiu's flying spirit tool arrived on the battlefield. Prime Minister Sima and the emperors of the 8 countries were both pleasantly surprised. They were currently in a stalemate. With this girl's evil schemes and the help of that great killing tool, they believed that the situation would be resolved very quickly. After exchanging greetings with everyone, He Xingjiu went straight to the outside of the camp and said to the people of the Li Hen Palace, "Ask your palace master to come out. I have something important to tell him." The people of the Li Hen Palace went in to deliver the letter. After a while, the palace master of the Li Hen Palace appeared under the escort of everyone. Yun Chuzhou sized him up a few times and was even more certain of her judgment. She curled the corners of her lips and said, "Imperial Preceptor Yuan Ji, long time no see. At this time, is there still a need to hide?" The palace master of the hateful palace waved his hand, and a mask appeared on his hand, revealing his true appearance. It was the former imperial preceptor of the East Feng Kingdom, Yuan Ji. Pan DN0VE1, C, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, "I don't have any business. I'm only giving you a few words of advice out of old feelings. Your hateful palace will suffer a crushing defeat sooner or later anyway, so why are you still here bitterly holding on? Since you are all from the northern continent, then obediently return to the northern continent. Don't you people miss your loved ones? Moreover, the spiritual qi in the northern continent is much denser than in the southern continent. Why must you suffer here?" Yuan Ji's cold face finally showed some stiffness. It was unknown whether it was because Yun Chuzhou had pointed out their identity in the northern continent, or because Yun Chuzhou was so arrogant. After a moment of silence, Yuan Ji said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty Fenghua, since you know that our Li Hen Palace has an extraordinary relationship with the northern continent, why do you have to resist stubbornly? You should know that if we are really provoked, we will ask the northern continent for help. You people won't be able to handle it." When Emperor Jing Lai and the others heard Yuan Ji's words, they couldn't help but show terrified expressions. The difference between the northern continent and the southern continent was like a ravine. If the Li Hen Palace really asked the northern continent for help, would they be able to handle it? Just as they were panicking, they heard Yun Chuzhou laugh. Her laughter was filled with disdain and contempt. "Your words are truly laughable. You are just trying to fool people who don't know the true situation of the northern continent. You are asking the northern continent for help. Your master is merely a faction of the northern continent. Even if his faction could be considered influential in the northern continent, once the news of your master coveting the southern continent spread, do you think that the other factions of the northern continent would let him have his way? Therefore, it was best to think before threatening someone. Don't make it sound like a joke. Yuan Ji, you are a smart person. Although the spiritual power of your people from the Li Hen Palace is not low, you will definitely lose this protracted battle. Since that is the case, why waste time, manpower, and material resources? If I were you, I would immediately seek instructions from your master. Instead of exhausting this part of the forces in the southern continent, it would be better to withdraw to the northern continent. At the very least, it would be a help. That's all I have to say. I'll give you 3 days to consider. If you don't withdraw your troops by then don't blame me for being rude. After all, my fiancé is a great killer. He does assassinations for no reason. It's simply too easy. After saying this, Yun Chujo didn't wait for Yuan Jis' reply. Instead, she turned around and returned to the camp with a smug look on her face, as if victory was within her grasp. Emperor Jing Lai and the others were stunned for a moment before they chased after He Xinjiu with puzzled expressions. Damn it, they would never have dreamed that this girl would actually try to persuade the Lihan Palace to withdraw their troops. Stop joking. If her words could make the Lihan Palace withdraw their troops, they would call her their ancestor. Yuan Ji stood where he was. No change could be seen on his face, but he sighed deeply in his heart. All these years of planning would probably go down the drain. If he were the pavilion master, he would also agree with what that little girl said. Right now, the hateful palace had already become the public enemy of the southern continent. If this stalemate continued, it was only a matter of time before they would return in defeat. Since that was the case, he might as well retreat to the northern continent. At the very least, he could preserve his strength. Moreover, the pavilion master might not be able to obtain what he wanted. Since that was the case, there was no point in continuing this stalemate. After Emperor Jing Lai caught up with Yun Chujo, he followed her into the meeting tent. Yun Chujo took a few sips of tea before she slowly said, more or less. Emperor Jing Lai couldn't hold it in any longer and said mockingly, Your Majesty Fenghua, I admit that you are indeed smarter than the rest of us, but am afraid that you are exaggerating this time. The Lihan Palace is coming at us menacingly, and their strength is not much weaker than ours. How could they withdraw their troops just because of your words? Emperor Shaoxian also agreed, that's right, this war is not a child's play. Moreover, the Lihan Palace has relations with the northern continent's forces. I'm afraid that this matter cannot be settled peacefully. Upon hearing Emperor Shaoxian mention the northern continent, the other monarchs also expressed their opinions. The main point was that the Lihan Palace would never withdraw their troops and would even seek help from the northern continent. This war would not end for a few more years. Yun Chujo did not interrupt until they were almost done talking. Then, she smiled and said, How about this, let's make a bet. If the Lihan Palace agrees to withdraw their troops, the territory of the Lihan Palace will belong to our Eastern Feng Kingdom. If the Lihan Palace does not agree to withdraw their troops, then after the Lihan Palace is taken down, our East Phoenix Kingdom will not participate in the distribution of the spoils of war. What do you think? Emperor Jing Lai and the others were truly shocked when they heard Yun Chuji's words. They had never expected Yun Chujo to make such a bet. The stakes were too high. It would be fine if they won, but once they lost, they would no longer have a share of the land of the Lihan Palace. The East Phoenix Kingdom would be above the 8 kingdoms in one move, which was equivalent to creating another Lihan Palace. Yun Chujo raised her eyebrows slightly. What? You don't dare to agree? Didn't you say that everything was in order just now? What about the Lihan Palace coming menacingly? What about the Lihan Palace asking the northern continent for help? Why don't you dare to answer now? It's not that my words are harsh, but you are also the rulers of a kingdom. Don't tell me that you don't have the courage. Or is it that you don't have confidence in your own judgment? Emperor Jing Lai and the others were provoked by He Xinjiu, and they couldn't hold back any longer. They looked at each other and thought to themselves that it was impossible for the Lihan Palace to withdraw their troops. It was not bad for them to use this opportunity to make the East Phoenix Kingdom give up on the future division of their territory. Moreover, even if the Lihan Palace really withdrew, they would refuse to admit it. Would her country still be able to go against the 8 countries? Thus, Emperor Jing Lai and the others agreed to Yun Chuji's bet. Yun Chujo said with curved brows and eyes, words have no basis. Prime Minister Sima, draft an alliance agreement immediately, in case someone refuses to admit their debt in the future. Prime Minister Sima was now blindly worshipping His Majesty, so he did not consider the consequences if His Majesty failed to make a bet. He immediately drafted an alliance agreement. Emperor Jing Lai and the others had thought that it was just words. They did not expect Yun Chujo to actually draft an alliance agreement in a serious manner. However, The arrow was already on the bow, so they had no choice but to force themselves to seal it with the jade seals of various countries. Yun Chujo handed her own alliance agreement to a certain person and said with a smile, "Prince Charming, help me keep it. If anyone refuses to pay up in the future, you can take the alliance agreement and chop off their heads." Chapter 3686 had fallen into a pit. Jing Lai Di and the others were instantly dumbfounded. They had actually forgotten about the existence of this great killing weapon. If the hateful palace really withdrew their troops, this great killing weapon wouldn't just stand by and watch them break the agreement. Even if he couldn't fight against four hands with two fists, he could sneak into their imperial palace and take their lives at any time. This was truly a death sentence. At this moment, Emperor Jing Lai and the others finally came to a realization. Could it be that they had fallen into a pit? Emperor Jing Lai and the others spent 3 days uneasily. They didn't eat well or sleep well, afraid of hearing the news that the Lihan Palace had withdrawn their troops. Speaking of which, they felt conflicted. On one hand, they were afraid that the Lihan Palace would withdraw their troops and lose the bet. On the other hand, they hoped that the Lihan Palace would withdraw their troops so that they could resume their daily lives and avoid the suffering of the soldiers. 3 days later, Yuan Ji and Empress Jiu met again. Yuan Ji's cold expression was somewhat bleak. "Your Majesty Fenghua, our Lihan Palace has agreed to leave the southern continent, but your 9 countries alliance army has to give us half a month to withdraw." Yun Chujo nodded. "Yes, no problem. In half a month, we will take over the Lihan Palace. If there are still people from the Lihan Palace remaining, kill them without mercy." Yuan Ji looked deeply at Yun Chujo, not knowing if it was a threat or an admonition. "Your Majesty Fenghua, showing off might not be a good thing. Please think twice before you do anything." Yun Chujo was slightly taken aback, then she laughed. Her smile was bright and unrestrained. "I will also give you a piece of advice. A man chooses a wise ruler and a minister. A bird chooses a good tree to perch on. I will welcome you to join me at any time. Only by following me will you have a future." Yuan J's face stiffened. He had never dreamed that Yun Chujo would be so arrogant to such an extent. He would join her. He, as a protector of the 9 pavilions, would join her. What a fool's dream. Yuan Ji clearly did not have any intention of entangling himself with Yun Chujo. He turned around and returned to the camp of the Lihan Palace. Emperor Jing Lai and the others were all stunned on the spot as if they had been struck by lightning. It was over. They had really fallen into a pit. It was still the kind of pit that would last for 10,000 years. They had finally gotten rid of that wolf from the Li Hate Palace, and now they had nurtured the East Phoenix Kingdom into a tiger. Could they still have a good life in the future? Yun Chujo said to the 8 people with a smile, "Let's go. Today is a good day to celebrate. Let's go back and celebrate." Emperor Jing Lai and the others were not in the mood to celebrate. They wished they could bang their heads against the wall right now. However, they felt a certain someone's cold gaze and could only reluctantly go to the meeting tent. Soon, someone served the food and wine. Emperor Jing Lai and the others finally realized what was going on. Damn it, this meeting tent had always been set up in the East Phoenix country's camp. Why hadn't they noticed it before? This girl must have made up her mind a long time ago. She was truly insidious and cunning, shameless. After drinking a few cups of wine, Yun Chujo sighed. "Sigh. I know that you are all cursing me in your hearts. It's nothing more than a despicable act of taking advantage of the situation, isn't it?" Emperor Jing Lai and the others revealed embarrassed expressions. They thought to themselves, "At least you know your own limits." However, what was the use of this? Could it be that you could give up the territory of the hateful palace? Just as they were cursing in their hearts, they heard Yun Chujo say faintly, "Since all of you are unwilling, then the previous agreement will be nullified. Let's split the territory of the hateful palace equally." You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.